This little radio was too late to make my best of 2023 video, but is definitely worth a look. Hi, and welcome to the Gadget Talk channel, where we do reviews and how-tos on a variety of electronic gadgets that catch my eye. As we get started, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. In this video, we're taking a look at a new offering from Radioddity. It's the BaoFeng UV-5 G Plus. Be sure to stick around to the end where you'll get information on how to save $10 on a Radioddity purchase. A couple of weeks ago, Radioddity contacted me and offered the UV-5 G Plus radio for a test and review. I reviewed the original UV-5G a couple of years ago, and I gotta tell you that my first reaction to seeing the UV-5G Plus was just to say wow. The UV-5G Plus definitely has a strong family resemblance to the UV-5G, but as you saw, the UV-5G Plus is longer with a much bigger full-color screen. It also has a handful of additional menu items such as a stopwatch function, radio version information, and a menu exit time setting not found on older BaoFeng radios. Being physically larger than the UV-5G means that the UV-5G Plus has a larger battery. The 2500 milliamp hour battery should give you plenty of standby time, and as an added plus, no pun intended, it's USB Type-C rechargeable. That means you won't have to worry about forgetting the charge cradle at home. One of the features I found on several new models is the wireless frequency copy function. The UV-5G Plus includes this too. That function allows you to scan for nearby radio frequencies, including the CTCSS or DCS codes. Once received, you can save them to an empty channel, allowing you to copy a friend's radio settings without going into the menu-driven process. This feature is radio agnostic. By that I mean it will copy the frequency info from any brand of radio. The last thing I'll mention before jumping into the tour is that all 999 channels can be programmed with GMRS transmit and receive data. That means besides the 30 pre-programmed channels, there are an additional 969 channels you can program with GMRS or receive-only channels in the radio's VHF and UHF receive range. Of course, there is FM broadcast and NOAA weather channel access in addition to the user programmable channels. What this means to you is that with a little planning, you can program channel groupings for various uses. You might choose to have local channels in channels 1 to 50 and have a different set of GMRS and receive-only channels for a favorite camping spot or vacation home in channels, say, 100 to 150. This gives you a lot of flexibility in how you use your radio. Now, let's jump into the tour. So let's take a look at what you're going to get with your UV-5G. First, of course, is the owner's manual, and I've got a copy of it right here. It's pretty typical of these. It lists all of the menu items, how to do some of the basic functions, and explains things like accessing the weather channels and the channel scan mode and all that kind of thing. So it's not bad. It explains things fairly well, and if you're familiar with these small kinds of radios, you won't have any trouble with it. Next are a couple of things that you can use to connect the radio to yourself. It's got the lanyard here, or the little wrist strap that fits in a little hole in the back of the radio, and then a belt clip. And the belt clip screws into the radio, and in this case, the screws are already mounted in the radio, so you don't have to worry about losing them. So the lanyard and the belt clip. Now let's talk about how to power the thing. The next thing then is just a little USB wall wart here. It's the USB output transformer. And then, of course, you can use anything. So you could use your computer, a power bank, the USB in your car, that kind of thing. And then it comes with a USB-C cable. So it's got a USB-A on one, USB-C on the other, and it looks to be probably about 18 inches long. So that's how you're going to be charging the radio. And there's some instructions in the owner's guide about how to charge it, when to have it off, when to have it on, and so forth. So that'd be worth taking a look at. One of the things that comes with nearly all the little Chinese-made radios nowadays is a little earplug style wired push-to-talk kind of accessory. It plugs into the K1 connector on the side of the radio. It has a little foam cover onto an earphone that you can place in your ear, and then a wired push-to-talk to be a little less conspicuous, or you can use it when you're in a group of people when the others aren't really interested in whatever it is you're listening to. And then last, for the single or dual pack contents of your box, is a short GMRS radio. It's a dual band radio. It's got the SMA female or socket side here, and it's labeled as a dual band antenna on the little insert there. Now, there are a couple of things that come with the dual pack, so let's take a look at those. Now, with the dual pack radio, besides getting everything I just showed you twice, along with two radios, you get a programming cable. It's a BaoFeng branded programming cable. And then you get this longer 15.5-inch GMRS antenna. And like the other one, it's got a female or socket side SMA here. It's labeled as a dual band VHF UHF antenna. And we have some, pretty decent results with this longer antenna. So these will make up the additional things. You'll get two of these and then one of these if you buy the dual pack. So let's start with a bit of a power off tour of the UV-5 G Plus, and we'll start by comparing it to the UV-5 G. This one's labeled UV-5X. It was the first edition of that radio, but you can see that there's a strong resemblance between these radios. They have the same kind of look and feel. However, the UV-5 G Plus, one of the pluses is that it's bigger, and so you can have a chance to see there. To be honest with you, I've always liked the UV-5R or 5X or 5G appearance for these little radios, despite the fact that it's getting, a little old. Newer radios have more rounded edges, but the UV-5 G Plus is a really nice looking radio in my opinion. So let's put the UV-5 G away and do a tour of the UV-5 G Plus. So on our tour of the radio, we've got kind of the same buttons that you find on the UV-5 G. We've got a VFO and memory mode. We've got the AB switch over here. This little green button has a couple of functions, changes bands. It'll long press on it will move you into that frequency search function that's available here on the radio. The green over here is the menu key and the confirm key when you're in the menu system. The red key is the exit. The scan key is down here. Keyboard lock is here. And some of these have shortcuts to the various menu items when you're in the menu mode. On this side, we've got the push to talk button. We've got program key number 1, program key number 2. We'll show you that here with the power on in just a second. On the other side, we've got an access door to the receive and transmit, or to the microphone and speaker plugs here on the side. They're configured as the K1 connector, so that little push-to-talk mic that I just showed you, or the programming cable, will snap in here to accomplish some of the tasks that those items are needed. On the back, we've got the battery. Here are the screws for the belt clip. We've got a little rubber cover here that is connected for the USB-C for charging, and then a little charge indicator LED right here. On the top, we've got the antenna plugged in right here. It's got the male side in the radio and the socket side in the antenna, as I've already showed you. It's got the LED for the flashlight, and then the on-off switch and volume control is right there. Over here, we've got the little hook for the lanyard that I showed you earlier. Now let's do the power on tour. So I've done a little programming with this radio, and I've got both the upper and lower register in the channel mode, and you can tell that because the number here says 002, so it's GMRS 2. That's a label I assigned in the CPS. 0015 is the channel 15. The lower register I have set for frequency in the display, so that's why it's showing the frequency instead of the name that I've assigned. You can see both have signal receive and transmit meters along the bottom, and you can see also then we're on high power. There's dual watch is enabled. If there was a CTCSS or DCS code, it would be labeled there, and then we can see the battery over there. We also see that it says main right there, and if we press the AB, main drops down to there. So we can see which of the two frequencies that we're going to be transmitting on if we press the push to talk button. So here's that green button that I mentioned to you before. And if we do a long press on it, you can see that the search for the channel comes in here. And so we're searching for VHF channels now. We press it again. We're searching for UHF channels. We press it again. With a long press, it'll exit that mode. So that's going to be helpful to you if you like to use that kind of one-touch frequency saving that's available here on this radio. The other thing we need to look at real quick is the menu system. So we press the menu button. The menus here are on the bottom, and we see that we can go up through the menus, 1, 2, 3, or down through the menus. Let me go to the end of the menus. So you can see on menu 45, we've got version information for the radio. We've got the stopwatch function available on the radio. We can activate our power on password. We can do a reset, and the usual things we're used to doing here in the various menus. Now, to move around the menu system, we can go up and down like we've just been doing, or we can press the menu key when we're out of the menu. And if we wanted to change the power, we could go menu 2. And now we've got power. To make the change, we press menu again, and then go up and down until we get to the one that's blinking. If I wanted low power, I'd press menu again, and then get out of the menu. Now I want that on high power, so let's go back through it real quick. Menu, it'll go back to that since that was the last one we used. Press it, go up 2. Now it's high, select it, and now we've got it set, and we've exited the menu system. Now on the side of the radio, there are a couple things I want to point out to you. A short press on the orange button will move us into the FM radio mode, and you can just type in a frequency, or you can scan FM radio. I have the volume turned down so I don't inadvertently record any music. A long press on that button will go into the alarm mode. And I've got the siren going just on the radio. We're not transmitting. And the light flashes. Press on that will take you out of that alarm mode. So FM and alarm up here on the bottom side key, we can press it short. We get the flashlight. Press it short again. It flashes. And then we turn it off. And a long press down here goes into the monitor mode, in which the squelch setting in your menu is overridden, and we get a 0 squelch. So that if you're trying to listen to a very low quality signal, pressing the monitor might be enough to allow it to be audible. You can see it's really a very nice looking screen. It does wash out a little bit in sunlight, just probably the same way your phone does. Most of these screens do that, but putting your hand over it a little bit will be enough to make it readable. So that's the quick tour of the UV-5 G Plus. One of the things I was interested in was what the SWR readings would be between the long and short antennas that come with the dual radio pack. Budget-priced HT antennas are quite basic, and SWR readings tend to be a little high. The included antennas were on par with other budget-priced HTs that I've tested. Using my MFJ 874 power and SWR meter, I got SWR readings with the short antenna of about 3.1 to 1 on the low GMRS channels and 2.9 to 1 on the high channels. With the long antenna, I got SWR readings of 1.8 to 1 on the low channels and 2.5 to 1 on the high channels. Power-wise, I got 0.8 watts on low 2.5 watts on medium, and 4.5 watts on high. While my SWR readings differed a little bit from the advertising, the power outputs were very close. Unfortunately, the long antenna and programming cable are only included in the dual radio pack. Now, that really shouldn't matter, though, if this is your first GMRS radio. You'll need 2 radios, so you'll have one for that family member that you want to communicate with. When subtracting the cost of a separately purchased programming cable and a BaoFeng 15.5-inch GMRS antenna, the extra radio is like $5. Plus, you get another $20 antenna. In other words, it's a pretty good deal. Here's a quick listen to the UV-5 G Plus's receive and transmit audio.
Test, test, 1, 2, 3, test, test, receive test. Receive test, 1, 2, 3, test, 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 test out. Test, 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 transmit test, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, test out.
Since I was using a UV-5 G Plus on both ends, you get both transmit and receive in the same audio snippet, but I did it twice so you can focus your attention on both receive and transmit individually. So here's the CPS for the UV-5 G Plus. It's labeled GM5R and it's available from Radioddity on their website. To start with, we're going to go into the device manager, and you can see here under the ports that this serial port COM4 is what is identified with the programming cable that I'm using. So I'm going to remember that number. I'm then going to go up here to settings. I'm going to go to port and I'm going to select COM4. That's going to make sure that the radio and the software can communicate with each other. And then the next thing I'm going to do, and just as an overview, I'm going to go quickly through these. You can see File gives you New, Open, Save. Windows will give you the various windows we'll look at here in a second, the channel, VFO, and functions. Program is Read and Write. And Settings is the port we just looked at. And Tools will allow you to import a power on picture into the radio instead of the BaoFeng splash screen. So that's kind of handy. Now these represent most of the important icons that you're going to be using that come from these drop-down boxes. And so you can use either one. So to start with, what we're going to do is we want to read from the radio. And so we're going to press the read button. And then we're going to go up here and we're going to press start. You can see the radio is in programming mode. The little computer screen is there. The little red LED on the front is flashing. And you can see the icon on the status bar go across. And now it's finished. The radio boots back to its normal status. And here then I'm ready to do my programming. So I've done some programming in this before, and so you can see what I've done. Here are all of the GMRS channels, 1 through 22 are the standard channels. You can see here they've got the low and narrow for the interstitial channels. And then I went through and gave them names. I don't speak frequency very well, and so I want some names to show up on the screen. And then when you get down here into the standard repeater channels, I labeled 15R, 16R to correspond with the GMRS output frequency they're going to have here in the GMR settings up here. The next, I have a couple of frequencies programmed in just to show you how to do that. So I went to mygmrs.com, looked up a couple of open repeaters in the area, and then just added that information in. And so to do that, you just simply click in the box, type in the repeater channel. And I'll do that for 627500. All that comes in. If you want it to be a repeater, you need to change it to a +5 offset to change that to 467-7500. And then here you can add in the DCS or CT-CSS codes. And then you can again put a name in here. Now, one of the unique things about this is that all of the channels in the channel display can use GMRS channels. And so to test that, I put a couple of duplicate channels here and then a couple of receive-only channels here. And so I've got a duplicate of the local repeater, and it works just fine when I go up to 108. Here I've got the 146.52, which is a ham call channel. 446 is also a ham call channel. And despite the fact that there are numbers here in the transmit frequency, the radio won't allow it. It's locked. It's a GMRS radio. One of the cool things then is that you can have up to 999 GMRS channels. Now, why you'd want that many, I don't know, but unlike some of the older radios that limits you to GMRS channels in the first 54 channels, this one will allow channels in any of the channels you choose. So if you want to break your channels up into regional ones, for 1 to 50 is your local area, and then from 100 to 150 is a place that you visit, so you can manage how you use your radio without scanning through hundreds of channels. All that's capable here with a little bit of planning. Now, we go up to Windows, we can go into our VFO mode. It gives us the VFO A and B frequencies. There's really nothing you need to change here, but it's there. We can go up to Window, we can get our function. This one gives you many of the functions that are available through the radio's faceplate menus. And so timeout timer, save mode, which is a battery saving mode, timeout timer alarm. It'll beep at you right before this timeout timer expires. You can eliminate squelch tails, do beeps on the radio, do the Roger beep. Scan modes, time operation is what I've got. You can also do carrier operation or SE scan mode, which I think of as scan end. And when it hits a signal, it stops scanning. The alarm you can set to broadcast or be on site. I like, as I mentioned before, to think in terms of names. So I put the what they call work mode is channel mode for both the A and B register, and then I want the display to be names. If you like frequencies, you can add frequencies, or if you just want the channel number, you can do that too. So it's fairly highly customizable. You can turn the reset menu on and off. If you've got little fingers nearby, you may not want it reset, so you could turn it off here in the CPS. And then there's some controls for Vox level. So when I've made all of the changes that I want, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go up here to File and Save As. I'm going to give it a file name. Normally I give a file name of the year, the month, the date, and the model numbers. With all of that done then, I'm going to write to the radio and do the start. And just like with the read, radio goes into programming mode. This time that little light is flashing green instead of red. And it takes just a moment to move all those changes to my radio. It reboots, and now my changes are in. That's a quick look at the UV-5 G Plus CPS. If you like the style factors of the UV-5 radios, you'll probably like the UV-5G. Plus, as I hope you've seen, it's got all the necessary features, plus a couple of more that are becoming more and more popular in budget-priced GMRS radios. It seems like it's solidly built, and the addition of the long antenna and programming cable in the dual radio pack is a big perk. If you're new to GMRS, take a look at my book, The New Operator's Guide to GMRS. It'll help you get off on the right foot. It's available on Amazon.com, and I'll have an affiliate link below. Speaking of links below, if you use my Radioddity link in the description, you can get $10 off on your purchase on the Radioddity website. Now, join me over here to learn more about GMRS repeaters and using a CPS to program your new radio. Thanks for watching.